As I always preach in many of my videos, nutrition is one of the most important aspects of bodybuilding. It's one of the major pillars. Without the proper nutrition, it's impossible to put on muscle, to put on weight. In this video, we're going to take the nutrition more in depth and we're going to see what it takes to become a good bodybuilder. First things first, we need to know how many calories we need in order to maintain our body weight. I showed this in my previous videos, so I'm going to put this back up here. As you can see, this is the total daily energy expenditure, or what we call the metabolism. So down here we have the basal metabolic rate, we have the NEAT, we have the thermic effect of food, and we have the exercise. So everything together, we have to round it up, we have to calculate each individually, and we need to see what are the caloric needs. In my example, my basal metabolic rate is around 2000 calories. My NEAT, because I'm very active, it's around 600 to 700 calories. Around 200 calories from the TF and 400 for exercise. So I'm around 3300 calories just to maintain my weight. So you can do it also. You can try to calculate for yourself how much you need to consume just to maintain your weight. And from this position, we need to bump up the calories. I broke this table down in more details in my previous video, so you can check it up here. And now, because we have to be in a caloric surplus, we need to eat enough calories. We need to see if we have just 200 calories, it will not be enough as a surplus. So the ideal range will be in between 300 calories and 500 calories. That's the perfect range. So in my example, 3300 to maintain my weight, I will have to bump it up to 3600, 3800 a day in order to bulk up, in order to put on some weight. Now on the flip side, if we add too many calories, so for example 1000 calories, that's too much. You're gonna gain weight, but unfortunately a lot of that weight will be fast. We need to keep in mind that the muscle is a contract tissue and it's way harder for the body to create that tissue. It takes longer time, so stick with it, but pay attention to the surplus that you have. If it's too big of a surplus, it's not okay. If you see that the scale is going up way too fast, then you need to reduce the calories. It means that the surplus was too much. And even though it looks nice on the scale, yeah, I'm getting bigger, you will regret that when you will have to do a cut, because you will lose a lot of fat. You have to lose a lot of fat, but unfortunately you will lose a lot of muscle mass also, because you have to stay in a caloric deficit for a longer period of time. Be patient. It takes time to put on muscle mass. It takes years to put significant muscle mass compared to losing the fat. So slowly increase the calories. Don't rush this process. Now that we know how many calories we need to sustain our weight, we know how many calories to have in order to be in a surplus. Now we need to see where those calories are coming from. If we have a whole bunch of junk food, this will not be ideal, because like I said, we're gonna gain too much fat and it's gonna be a struggle when we want to reduce. So making a dirty bulking phase is not ideal at all. We need to have a look to our macronutrients, the proteins, the carbohydrates and the fats. Ideal, the proteins, 2.2 grams per kilogram or 1 gram per pound of body weight. In my case, I'm 85 kilograms, so around 180 grams. Usually I have 200 grams of protein per day. The fats, 1 gram per kilogram or 0.45 grams per pound. In my case, maximum 85 kilos, I can go maximum 85 grams of fat. So this is the key point. Pay attention to the fats. Do not go into a dirty bulk and have a whole bunch of chocolate and ice cream and so on and push 150 grams of fat a day. That's way too much, and you're gonna turn this into a dirty bulk. Once I establish the proteins, how many grams of protein do I need? I establish the fats, how many grams of fats I need. Then with the carbs, I will have to play around. The rest of the calories have to come from carbohydrates, and you need to bump up the calories more and more. A successful bulk will be a 500 calories surplus, 2.2 grams per kilogram protein, 1 gram per kilogram of fat, and then the carbs just go up and up. Now we need to see the food sources where those macronutrients are coming from. We need to choose proteins, carbohydrates and fats from good sources. Better to opt for whole foods, foods that also have vitamins and minerals. We also need to keep in mind the health aspect. For protein sources, foods like chicken, turkey, fish, beef, eggs, skyr. For fats, avocado, olive oil, nuts, fish oil, these are amazing, salmon. And for carbohydrates, rice, pasta, whole bread, potatoes of course, fruit, oats. Now here I need to stay a little bit longer and explain to you the fact that in my case it was very hard to stay with just pure clean foods. So you will reach a point in which the surplus, because of the volume of the food, the surplus will be way too harder to keep. So here is where you can integrate a little bit more dirty foods. Let's say instead of having just potatoes with chicken breast, it's very hard to have a lot of potatoes. They have more volume. So maybe you want to change potatoes with pasta, or I don't know, introduce more bread, or try to sometimes introduce dry fruits or stuff like this that are more dense, caloric dense, than compared to something that is very clean but a lot of volume. If you reach a point in which you need 4,000 calories or 4,500 calories or 5,000 calories a day, that's a lot. So if you want to keep all those calories just from clean foods, it's almost impossible. It's way too much volume. So here you need to play around a little bit. Here you need to integrate some foods that are not as clean, let's say. I would also like to mention here the cheat meals. As a hard gainer, I was super skinny, and for me it was a struggle to put on weight. It was extremely hard. I was a long period of time eating 4,000, 4,500 calories a day in order to put on weight. And here is where I could introduce a little bit more often the cheat meals, having like a pizza, a burger, some fries, some ice cream, whatever, to bump up those calories a little bit, to push the body a bit more, because you reach a point in which like, I cannot eat anymore. You're eating every 2 hours and it's just impossible to eat more than that. So then you need to find ways to make those foods more caloric dense. If I have clients that tell me that they eat a lot but it seems like they don't gain any weight, I have to look at the meal plan, and most of the times I see that indeed they eat a lot, but very, very clean. Too clean, for example. It's too much. So don't be afraid of putting a little bit of sauce, or integrate these little things that increase the calories a little bit more. Last thing, and probably one of the most important thing, it's to stick with the plan long enough. If you're just trying 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're like, that's it, I need to do a cut, or it's not for me, I'm gaining too much weight, or something is wrong, you need to readjust and make sure that you have a good caloric surplus, good macronutrients, good sources of food, but you have to stick with it. It's not gonna magically happen in the 2 months. Putting on muscle mass, it takes a lot of time. Creating the contractile tissue, it takes a lot of time. It takes years. It's not gonna be an overnight. The scale may increase slowly. If you are in a pace of maximum 1 kilogram per month, that's a good pace. You need to always scale it per year. Is 12 kilograms per year achievable? That sounds good, that's achievable. If you say, no, I can do better, I can do 2 kilograms per month. Well, can you do 24 kilograms a year? You may do, but a lot of that weight is going to be fat. So, like I said, we focus on putting muscle mass, not fat. What you have to look at is to see in the first, let's say that you increase the calories and in the first 3 weeks there's no change, so your body is exactly at the same weight, the same strength inside the gym, nothing has changed. That means that the caloric surplus is not big enough, so you'll have to increase again 300-400 calories. Then if you start to progress, stick with it, stick again 3, 4, 5 weeks, see how the progress goes. If you stagnate again you have to bump up until you see a good rhythm. Don't rush the process. Stay consistent, but have a good pace. Another important thing here is to not think about the abs. It's not the time to have a six-pack, it's not the time to be striated and to have veins and so on. It's bulking time, it's time to get stronger, it's time to get bigger in a t-shirt, to feel fuller. And then when it's time to do a cut, it's going to be easier because, like I said, the muscle is an active tissue and it's going to burn the calories. Therefore, the cut is going to be way more successful. From the nutrition point of view, this is all you need to know. Make sure that you know how many calories you need to sustain your body weight. So calculate your total daily energy expenditure, your TDEE. Then have a surplus 300 to 500 calories. Make sure that you know how many proteins, carbohydrates and fats you need. The sources that those proteins, carbs and fats are coming from is very important, and stick with it. Guys, if you have any questions, shoot them in the comments below. I will be more than glad to help you. If you want to learn more about nutrition and nutrition mistakes, you can check it up here. Thanks again for watching, guys, and see you next time. Ciao.